This canyon wall carried my tune. The only one to hear my song are the coyotes and the wolves. But if I drink enough of this flask, I can hear them sing your song too.
All right, this is Robert Leiterman with the Bluff Creek Project, but it's not just me today. We have Rowdy Kelley with the Bluff Creek Project. He's sitting off to my right. And we have Kipp Morrill with the Bluff Creek Project sitting off to my left. And I got to describe the scene here. He's sitting in a nice little lounge chair, but he's got, what's that, 2 dogs on your lap?
Those doggos.
Yeah.
I've got Chloe, the official mascot of the Bluff Creek Project.
Yeah.
And I've got Daisy, who is going to be the second official mascot. Or is that going to be Snowball?
No, well, Snowball's been there many a times, but Daisy's the new generation.
The new generation.
Chloe's turning 13 this year, so
Wow.
Daisy's, she's a little West Highland Terrier. She's only 3 years old, and she loves it out here. She's having a great time. She's been down to the film site probably, I think, 3 times.
Good.
So, yep.
That's 485 times less than Chloe.
But of course,
Chloe definitely has more miles at the film site than any other Bluff Creek Project member.
I agree. The reason Rowdy says that is because as we're walking down the trail, Chloe's going down to the water, back up, down to the water, back up, down to the water, back up.
Wondering what's taking you guys so long.
Yeah, I mean, hear the jingle of her collar, she disappears, it materializes again, then boom, she's gone.
Yeah, actually, Chloe at the slide,
Yeah.
we rolled a rock down, and she chased it. Remember?
Oh yeah.
All the way down.
We heard the splash with the rock at the bottom.
And she went all the way down. I don't know. We can't see all the way down the bottom, but she went all the way out of our sight, and then she came back up. And she was just, you know, at the last, she was like, oh yeah. It was a tough. And she was young though. I was.
Oh yeah.
She
And
was
we have
only
one
a
other
year or
person
two
sitting
old.
here around the campfire.
Oh yeah. And my son here, son Patrick, he's been on a few of my so-called Bigfoot expeditions in the Sierra Nevadas, and yeah, actually, no, you weren't at the time when we were with Bobo and we had the apples taken. No, that was a totally
At
different
Fish Lake?
adventure. Yeah, at Fish Lake,
Yeah, I
not too
remember
far
that.
from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was, after we were investigating the Sierra kill site, he came up a couple times. You got to meet Wally Hersham. He can spend time with you. You were up there too.
Yeah. Was that
Yeah.
Patrick?
That's Patrick was up there. He's up there twice.
Wow. That was how long ago, though? So how old was Patrick then?
All right, Patrick, how old were you then?
I think.
You got to speak up loud
maybe
because you're
14?
facing away.
14?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
just a kid. 'Cause I think I remember, there both times up. One time he rode this bike with me. We rode our bikes all over the place, and the first time, Francis went as well, and there was a thunderstorm. Or maybe you weren't there the first time. Maybe it was
I think it
Forrest
was-
and Francis.
I think I met Francis there.
Yeah, Francis has been there a couple of
Okay.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a small world, but Patrick just I guess I can't say you retired from the Army, but you're done
Yeah.
after 7 years.
That's a pretty big achievement, 7 years being in the military. It's a long
We do
time.
appreciate your service.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. And now we had a vacant room. Now it's occupied again. Yeah, it's like a. Forrest was there before. You know, he's in Texas going to school. He's gonna be helping with all my injuries when he comes back, and then Patrick's back in there. He's hot bunking it. He's back in there enjoying it too. But we're kind of lucky because we're at a place that's almost at the end of the Go Road, and
all of our first time here.
oh yeah. It's a pretty nice place. It's like we drive by this, didn't even know it was here. It's like a local
I was telling
information
Kipp
thing.
today when we drove out, I'm like, I never really remember looking over and seeing that meadow before. You know,
It's not real easy to see unless you're looking for it off the road.
I hear
Which
a
we-
car.
Well, we're usually just totally fixated on, well, we're almost to the end of the turnoff or the end of the go road, so we usually miss it. But yeah, I saw it really well coming back after I shot by and came back.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
nice.
definitely. I notice it now, and it is really a nice meadow system. I guess we can say where we're at. Flint.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're at Flint Meadows, which is approximately 3/4 of a mile before the end of the go road, somewhere around there.
Oh, actually, I think maybe a tad bit more.
That bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe a mile.
It was and it was interesting because we talked a little bit about camping at Elk Valley,
Yes.
and really good friend of the Bluff Creek Project, Ross Cornwell, who is a local and a good friend of mine. He said, "Hey," he said, "have you ever thought about maybe Flint Meadow?" He said, "There's a spring that'll give you a headache. 'Cause
Ice
it's
cream
so
headache.
cold, ice
Yeah.
cream headache, and it's a nice spot." And he was absolutely right. So, and Ross knows this area back, sideways, forwards. I mean, he knows this country, so it's really fortunate to have him as a friend to our group.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
As a friend.
Did he tell you about the tracks that were found in the snow?
He did
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that.
That was this winter.
Yeah, we've been. My wife
Well,
and
it
I.
wasn't this winter. No, this was just a few months ago, a month and a
Oh,
half
that's
ago.
right. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, that they were driving
March or
up the
something.
go road. I think it was at the 10-mile marker when there was still snow, somewhere
Okay.
around the 10 to 12, as I remember.
Yeah.
And they got out and saw these barefoot tracks, but they're very human-sized as far as it could be a person just running around with their shoes off.
Because they can.
Yeah, because that's where they stopped too, in the same spot. They couldn't
Yeah.
go any further in the snow. I do need to hear the whole story though.
Yeah.
If they did walk.
There's a
up there.
podcast I think that talks. I think Jeremiah. Actually, I'm sorry.
Bobo and
Bobo and Cliff
Cliff,
talked
yeah.
about it on
Mhm.
Bigfoot and Beyond.
Yeah, I missed that one there. Did you get a chance to hear it? Or?
I listened to a little bit of it, but yeah, I think that I'd still like to get a little, maybe hear it again and maybe get some of the background on it a little bit.
Yes, because it's always interesting because I've done it before. Take my shoes off and see how far I can walk before my feet freeze off.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you kind of glaze over each step because you're like,
yeah,
yeah. And not to change subject, but yet kind of to change subject. Do you remember when we first came up here?
When
And it
we went
snowed
up
on us?
Slate Creek, yeah,
Yeah.
And we went, you found that double tap bear print that
Yeah.
looks like a footprint.
But we
which was
didn't know
really-
that at first.
No,
It looked really like a bipedal print. It
Yeah.
really did. And it was like perfect one. It was kind of melted back a little bit, but it had the form of it. So as we went down in elevation, then we realized, and actually it was a mountain lion double tap.
oh, was it? Oh, it
Yeah.
was. I thought it was. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
no, I remember you guys saying you saw some mountain lion tracks. Yeah.
That's the one. It was like, Kipp was getting all excited. I go, don't get too excited yet. I mean, we got to get a better look at this. And that was a great trip. Yeah.
That was.
Yeah, that was some Kipp and my bonding time. And Kipp asked me, "Hey, you think you could be okay driving up here, pulling this trailer with dual drive?" "Oh, you'll be fine." And then on the way down, we'll almost burn your brakes out.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a steep hill.
I would never bring a trailer up that road again,
When-
or down.
When we'd have productions. Look at how bright that is, guys. Look, right there.
Start
Straight ahead.
moving.
Look
Above
at
the
that.
moon.
It's moving.
Yeah.
But that was super bright.
I see some red on it and maybe some green.
No, it's a satellite. And
Yeah,
it was
it's
just catching heavy reflection.
It just left sight.
Yeah, well, I was like, it's not the first time we've seen lights up here anyway. So,
Right.
well, I'm glad I'm up here. It was, I was up here last time. I guess we had Bigfoot days. We didn't go this far up. We went over towards Bluff. We went over towards. I checked on the film site. We had a booth.
That's right. You and Jamie and Dustin.
And Rowdy
and
showed up too.
And then Steven showed up a little later.
Yeah, so it was kind of nice. Yeah, so I'm kind of glad we get to come back up here again and meet up with you guys. But a lot has happened. So we had Beachfoot.
That's right.
Yeah, that was like in June.
It was in towards the end of June, and it took a lot of convincing to have you go.
Yeah,
That
well,
you finally did, which I'm really glad and excited that you did, because it was a great experience, not just for you, but for the people that were looking forward to meeting you and talking about your book. And so, yeah, I'm glad you went. It was a great time.
oh, I had a great time too. I was expecting something a bit different, but it was good. I'll come back again.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I told you I had butterflies and not so sure I wanted to talk about it, but it turned out pretty nice.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
It generated a lot of conversation and questions, and which is exactly it, right? And that's what we kind of want,
Right.
is to people to ask questions and, be curious.
Because I was just a representative for the project at the time. But you were there to help me get through my senior moments too, which is nice.
You did great.
Yeah, and then also we hired a couple other guys to help us out, and I forgot whose name was what and where it was doing there.
There's a lot of people there.
Yeah, there were. I was counting heads like right after the end. It's like I think I counted like 36 heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's better than half the people that were attending there.
Yeah. Some people are off doing other things, or that's kind of the joy of Beachfoot. It's just a gathering of people that are, and there's no cell coverage there, so people actually have to talk to each other. And so it's nice. There's all these conversations around the campfire, and or in different camps that are set up around the whole Beachfoot facility there, and it's a good time.
Yeah, what was it, 17 years or 16 years this been going
I
on?
think it's something like that. I'd have to. It's been going on for a while.
And Mr. Hines was there, and he went to all but the first.
That's right. Jerry Hine was there. Jerry, who I always refer to as the nicest man in Bigfooting, and he is. He's a great guy. He is. He's almost made it to every one, and it's my one time a year I get to see him, and he's just a great guy. There's a lot of really good people there.
Yeah, I was able to actually pull off 2 podcasts while I was up there, so those will be showing up shortly here too.
Oh, good.
And I appreciate them doing it for us. Well, let's talk about this big old expedition that was supposed to take place here up the Bluff Creek drainage.
Yeah.
The BC 19.
BC-19.
Yeah, it was I think it was, I guess, in light of putting it any other way, I think that maybe we bit off more than we could chew. But nonetheless, we wouldn't know until we tried.
Right.
And so, I think that we all kind of knew that it was going to be difficult, but I don't think that anybody realized how difficult. So for everybody out there, basically we started at the Bluff Creek Bridge.
When we say you can mention who's in.
So it was Tate, Jonathan, Tate Hieronymus, Jonathan Easley, Ron Mann, and myself, and Ron's dog Bandit.
Yeah. And also, let's talk about the support people too, because that's kind of
Yeah. So we had Lee Flanagan, and we had Damon, and we had Terry, and Stevie, and so it was gracious enough for those folks to come out and help, hopefully to support what we were trying to do. So basically what occurred was we were all packed for the 5-day trip and started up Bluff Creek from the bridge.
That's not just the bridge, but that's like the Klamath, where the Klamath meets Bluff Creek.
At the confluence of Bluff Creek and the Klamath River, right off of Highway 96. And basically, it looked difficult, and it was even more difficult as we got started. And almost immediately we were in the creek, which is fine. Unfortunately, that section with all the slides from previous, rock slides and things, it's also the steepest, most treacherous point. And so with full packs, we were basically making our way up the creek, up through Whitewater, up rapids almost immediately. And where we could find bank to walk on, it was all boulder scree. So it was basically hopping from boulder to boulder to boulder And that was very, very rare to find that spot
with packs
with very heavy packs
and running water.
and running water, with the two poles trying to, make it across and zigzag and try and find spots to pull up. And of course, we had Bandit the dog with us, and
Yeah.
it was really difficult for Bandit as well. And so I think what we found is that, hindsight being 2020, the packs were too heavy, even though I think that we all tried to pack as light as we could, but we needed to be prepared because we were going to be potentially unsupported. It kind of depended. So basically what happened was we got to a point where we realized that, number one, the dog was really struggling because it was really hard on Bandit. And then the rest of us, and I was the oldest. I'm 55 years old. I'm a little heavy and, a little out of shape. But everybody was sore and everybody was tired. And it got to the point where we decided, okay, we're going to have to turn back. We're going to have to go back to the bridge. This is not feasible, at least this section of Bluff Creek, which is between Wright's Place and Highway 96. But by that point, we realized that to continue on, even to go back to the bridge, was going to be a struggle because we were tired. We'd all started, well, I shouldn't say we all, a few of us, and me included, had already fallen 3 or 4 different times, and we kind of made the decision that we'd already had our equipment, and we decided, okay, let's just stay the night, stay in place, get rested, and we'll come out fresh in the morning, which was a really good decision. I think we all decided that it was, not worth the risk to try and come out that evening. So we found what basic spot that we could along the creek, which was basically nothing, but we made it work, and we spent the night, got up in the morning, and struggled back to get back to the bridge. Basically, we were very lucky that nobody was injured. We were sore, some cuts and scrapes and those types of things, but the reality is that there could have been some really serious injuries, leg fractures, back injuries, twisted knees, twisted ankles. I mean, there was a lot of potential for that. Those rocks in the, with that swift water and trying to make those crossings, the rocks are slippery. You had to be really, really concentrating on making sure that you had 3 points before you moved your foot, and then the next foot. It was very treacherous. So we're fortunate that everybody got out. We did a little after action review and talked about some of the things. One of the things is that we were relying on satellite communication. Well, my inReach, it took a long time. It was possible, but being down in that canyon, the satellite coverage is really, really limited. And so we had a lot of delay in getting back to the support team, and our communication was poor there. We were trying to communicate a message to 2 or 3 different people. The message was getting garbled. People didn't quite understand. And so we realized we needed probably just one point of contact. And if this was something that is to be, attempted again at a different time, it's going to take a lot more planning. It's going to take some, without packs, putting in at a particular area and doing some real reconnaissance, maybe using drones, just to get an idea of a lay of the land. I think we relied on Google Earth as a means to try and decide, okay, what does it look like? Well, I can tell you that from the Google Earth footage or imagery that we had from the point that we started, is that it looked nothing like that. The vegetation had grown in, the creek was wider, there'd been more slides, and so it really didn't resemble what I think that we had expected. And we had hoped that as we turn a corner, maybe things are better, and that just wasn't happening. So, it's a shame that we weren't able to continue. But again, I'm just thankful that that the whole team came out without injury, and that's are we good? Are we lucky? And I think we were probably a little bit of both.
Well, I know safety is an important thing. It was brought up in Slate Creek a few years ago. There was a local that was living up in the canyon, and they were dropping off food, and she'd come down and get it and go back up. And one time she didn't come down to get it. They sent out a search party for her. She had broken her leg and ended up dying up Slate. And that's a pretty steep topography. I guess people don't quite understand that we walked up and down Bluff Creek many times. But why was this section so difficult? Well, in '64 there was a big flood, and the whole river was rerouted. And that whole section from the Klamath River up is steeper than it normally is, and the sides of the hillside are constantly falling in. So it's like a gauntlet of debris and everything else. You want to add to that, Rowdy?
Yeah, well, since the '64 flood blew out that section, salmon have not been able to spawn up that section. So it's such a steep section of pools and drops that, yeah, it's definitely a difficult section. And I think that's really what killed the expedition right off the beginning, and it was good that it did, because yes, an expedition like this, as we will divulge, Robert and I were not too involved with this whole expedition. We would have definitely done a lot more reconnaissance and taken a lot more time for safety on our ins and outs. And just as you guys were going over that section, how difficult that was, I'm sure it's something that can be done. But in retrospect too, we look back and maybe we should just do a light pack and then re-up at Wright's place. Keep it all light, keep it, just bare minimum to keep our weight down, and do that section, which is about 5 miles. Yeah. And then re-up and reevaluate at Wright's place. How's everybody feeling? What's the terrain been like since we've got out of the canyon? What's our pace been like? And really reevaluate that. Aside from also all of our reconnaissance on our safety outs, in case somebody is 5 miles down one section and there is no out, are we going to go north or are we going to go south? Those are all things that are going to have to be a combination of on the moment decisions, as well as pre-described. We get to this certain point, if we have to retreat, we're going to retreat backwards or we're going to retreat forwards.
Kind of
I
almost
think
like
most of the time you're always going to retreat back because you know what's there.
It's no terrain.
Kind of almost like a go no go type of situation where you get to a particular point, in a decision point, where okay, we all have to come to the decision: are we continuing on, or are we turning around? How does everybody feel? So yeah, hindsight's always 20/20.
Sure, and there's been expeditions that have done way crazier things than that. We watch these things on TV where guys are going up into these remote areas and even rafting down areas that have never been rafted or canoed or hiked or whatever. But what you don't see is all the pre-planning that they do, and the safety concerns that they do that, especially if you're going to take a camera crew and go in and try to film something like this, which is a whole nother weight and another key that you have to deal with while you're trying to hike up something you've never hiked up before. And I'm all for the effort. That's great. I wish I'd have been a little more involved, but I think the reality was struck early and not 10 miles into it with somebody being hurt.
Yeah. Well, what I like to hear is that the four of you guys worked as four and a Ron's dog. You guys worked as a team, and you guys decided it was like, this is a little more work than we signed up for, and you guys all agreed, and that was good. I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, I think that collectively we realized that continuing on was not going to be, you know, a good plan. I think we kind of realized at that point that it was like, okay, let's regroup. Let's really think about this. Can we throw those logs on? We'll use them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're keeping the fire going. One time we at Kipp Camp, we did this, and Dustin kept throwing in more wood. He kept popping and popping. But no, Patch is doing a nice job of just keeping it not too poppy.
Yeah, this stuff's not too bad.
Keep pretty good. Well, anything else you want to add to the expedition on that?
I think that if anything, it was humbling. I think that there was a lot of expectations that, by talking about it a lot within the Bigfoot community, that there was a lot of expectations that it was going to be exciting and hopefully successful. But, the reality is that, not everything goes as planned. And so it was a big undertaking, but again, at the very least, it ended on a good note in that nobody's in the hospital. We didn't have to have a medevac, to pull people out. Because literally, where we were, there was no other option. Even just that short distance in, there's no getting Stokes back there, or it's probably going to be basically an extraction from a medevac helicopter.
Yep.
And so, we didn't have to do that. We didn't have to, tie up that resource because of, doing something that we shouldn't have been maybe doing. So,
let's talk about perspective. When you started that, you guys started anywhere from 8 to 10 on 10 o'clock or in the morning?
Yeah, the idea was to try and get a good early start so that we had time, and I'm glad that we talked about an early start, because I knew that the chances were that there was going to be delay. Most of the team was staying up at the cell phone site, and that's an hour away, and so folks didn't. It was about an hour delayed for getting started, and so and it was hot. It was 87 degrees or something, I think, that day.
Oh, that's reflecting off the rocks and everything.
And it was a hot day. It was a warm night even that day, or that night. But I think we were all kind of prepared for that possibility, that it would be warm. We were all dressed appropriately, and obviously, having the water right there, we had plenty of water, so that was good. And falling in is a good way to cool off. So
yeah, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, exactly.
At least you didn't get. I won't mention any names, but on one of the BFR expeditions, one gentleman had a ski pole in each hand, and he had his hands through the loops, and we were walking up uneven terrain and water, and he got the poles hooked, and he couldn't undo them, so his arms were stuck in the hole in the hand parts, and he couldn't move his arms. We had to rescue him.
Yeah.
It sucked to be him at the moment.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep your balance, and so things happen.
Right.
Things happen for sure.
Well, Robert, on
Yeah.
on that note, let's talk about our experience with putting a TV crew up Bluff Creek.
Yeah.
Show $10 million Bigfoot.
Oh yeah.
That I was on, helping be a local fixer, set up part of the show, and I brought Robert on to be a part of the show, and also to be expert. You're blinking there.
Oh, safety.
One of our experts prizes, but Robert and I went over with the cast and the crew, a lot of safety stuff, and they had put in place a few safety things. Our biggest thing was to have radio coverage for that little section, so if something did happen, we had an out for them. And then we had a side-by-side that was ready to go. Now the side-by-side probably wouldn't have got down all the way, but it could have got down to a certain point and at least got somebody up and out of it. Yeah, luckily on that too, nobody got hurt. But it's just a testament to Bluff Creek and it's a fairly remote section. I mean, not a lot of people, if hardly anybody within the recent decades has ascended what the BC-19 attempted. I'm sure some hydrologist or some fish biologist may have done it, but you know, that's a section that is really extreme right there, and so more props to you guys for making it make it at the BC-1.
Better you than us. We appreciate that. But you do have bragging rights now.
Well, and you know, it was a, you know, I have some humility from that whole experience, in that, you know, 2 of the team members are 30 years old and 1 is 37, and I'm 55. And even though, you know, I spent a career as a wildland firefighter, I've been out a couple of years as retired, and you know, put on some of that delicious retirement weight, and
Looks
a
good
little
on
out
you.
of shape. And so, you know, it was a it was one of those things where your brain tells you that you can do this, and then your body says, whoa, buddy, hang on a second. But you know, bottom line is I made it out safe. I did fall a couple of times. So I think that had we not had that horrible stretch, you know, I would have been sore, but maybe it could have made it. But yeah, that was, you know, and I think it was Rowdy that suggested early on that we should just go ahead and start from Wright's Place, and that was probably good advice. You know, the idea is that we wanted to try and hike the whole thing, but that stretch between 96 and Wright's Place, just with all the slides and the steep descent of Bluff Creek down into the Klamath River, it's treacherous. It is extremely technical, and so yeah, it's.
Well, there comes the point of this. You know, what was the point to have the bravado that we hiked all the way up Bluff Creek, or was it actually to do some Bigfoot research and see
What's out there?
what's out there in the depths of Bluff Creek?
I think it was a little bit of both, trying to, you know, see what was out there. Not a lot of you know, information from people, you know, along that stretch or along the Bluff Creek, and you know, keep your eyes peeled, keep your ears peeled, and see what is out there. But certainly, I think maybe you know, a little bravado in that. Well, we got to do it's got to be 19 miles or nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, okay, well, we ended up doing 1 now. So
Twice up and down. So
yeah, so 2, the BC2.
Yeah.
So
And
you know, it's
that's the thing is on that section, that's all that is. That's a physical attempt. There's nothing researching is going to come out of that. You guys just found out that's a shitty way to go in, and it's really difficult, and you know, you've done that part, and you know.
Thanks for doing it for us.
and what's the purpose to say that we did it?
Yeah.
Versus, you know,
We've explored the depths, because that's all visual portions that you guys saw. You guys got around a corner, which is not a visual portion without a drone or whatever. So it's a good example of the optimism way outweighing the actual ability
Yeah, that happens
of the
sometimes.
team.
That happens
And that's good. It's great to have that optimism and to have that exuberance of the youth that they're going to do something. But also, you know, like I said, I'm glad it ended early and not in a bad situation.
I'd like to ask this question. The morale.
you know, the morale was really that. I don't think that was an issue, and I was impressed that everybody kind of came to the same conclusion that you know, attitudes and people were positive, but you know, I think that we'd realized that at some point that, you know, we bit off more than we could chew, you know, and with that, you know, Bandit the dog was really struggling. He's an older dog, and we realized that it was not going to be it'd be cruel to try and make him continue to try and
Yeah.
and go, further, and Ron, we all love Bandit. He's just a good boy. He's an amazing dog. He's been on miles and miles and miles of trail, but he's got some age on him a little bit, and it was really, really hard on him. And I think that at the point when we decided that we should turn around, that Ron was really worried about how his condition was, which he slept 12 hours before we made our way out. And, it was it was good for Bandit that we were able to, that dog's just amazing though, considering how old he is, and he just still wags his tail, and
Yep.
Ron worked really hard to make sure that his dog was safe, and we all tried to help wherever we could. Mostly Tate and Jonathan, really helping out and really putting a lot of work towards making sure that Bandit was able to cross the creek in certain places, and then getting him up onto the rocks to try and get around. So I'm sure that Bandit and I both needed a couple of days of some
Yeah.
rest and
R&R.
relaxation after that. So
How you feeling right now?
Well, in dog years, Bandit was older than you, so you weren't the oldest person.
true. That's true. I'm really sore still.
Yeah.
I ended up the morning that we came out, I went back to using my finger quotes, my house. For those of you who don't know, I'm a full-time RVer. My wife and I and my 2 dogs live in a fifth wheel, and we were parked near Bluff Creek. And I went home and licked my wounds and thanked God for giving me the strength to be able to make it home and not be injured. My wife was extremely happy that was the outcome. But heavy pack, and it's one thing to hike on a trail. You take breaks, and
Yeah.
you got ups and you got downs, and the backpack is heavy on your back and on your shoulders and your knees, and it takes a toll. And after a few days of backpacking, and my experience has been you do start to get trail hardened. But this kind of a hike in the creek, trying to make those crossings, and then jumping along, trying to move from boulder to boulder to boulder, used a lot of different muscles that I probably wasn't used to, and it's a whole different kind of sore.
Yeah, even when you get up into the flats, and we've all done the bridge to the film site, but I think Robert's the only guy that usually brings a whole pack with him.
Yeah, just in case.
And we're just walking up the creek. And when you walk up a creek, you're stepping on boulders that are putting your foot into pronation, and and moving it in all different directions. So you really get a workout in your ankles and your calves, and it's really more difficult. I'd say it's when you're hiking up a creek like that, as opposed to hiking on a trail, it's probably you're 4 or 5 times harder.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Plus, you're constantly
slower. Yeah.
trying to counterbalance and every time.
Yeah, you're trying to find a foothold on each step. Luckily, Bluff Creek is in a super slick algae-filled creek, so it doesn't, its rocks aren't too bad as far as stepping on them and slipping around.
The ones that we experienced that stretch, there were a lot of slippery rocks.
Yeah.
Not necessarily algae, but wow, it was.
Yeah, and that's a deep geology there where that broke out. That's that's exposed a lot of depth in that mountain. That it's also not worn. That rock's not. It's only 50 years worn as opposed to the bedrock that it's flowing over up further, which is quite a bit. Many years more.
One thing I experienced
worn.
with even on the dry bouldering, the boulders, if you were behind somebody and they had, our feet were still wet, and we had, socks that were soggy and getting wet with each step. So if you were behind somebody that had hopped on a rock previous and it was now
wet.
then it was
Twice as slippery.
it was slippery. So
Wow,
that was something
yeah.
you had to be really careful of too. I learned that one quick.
Don't follow directly behind somebody, then get poked with a walking stick.
But
too.
you know, typically, you know, the lead people we were able to figure out what the best route was, and so we all kind of went the same way. And well, two people ahead of you, and the rock's already wet again. So now there's that.
Unlike snow, where the person in front of you is breaking in.
Is your best friend.
Yeah, and then you're tracking behind where they push all the soft snow down. This is totally reversed because they had it okay, and now that it's all wet. And the last one in the line gets the worst thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that was exactly the opposite at that point.
Like I'll
It's
win.
it's like following people in brush.
Yeah, it gets hit.
Yeah.
You got to stay just far enough back not to get whacked by the branch they just pushed through.
Yeah, sorry about that, Rowdy. That was what,
We've all done it to
three,
each
4 years
other.
ago.
We've all done it to each other.
Yeah.
At one time or another.
I think I probably did it to you today, Rowdy.
Well, it's not the person in front doesn't know how far back
No.
the guy is,
Yeah.
or unless you're going to tell him every time you go through a bush, you know. But
Yeah. The guys in front is focused on getting through. The one in the back is looking down on their feet, making sure they're stepping in the right place, and boom.
Yeah.
Right. in the face.
Keep
And that happened to Chloe actually recently. She was too close in behind me and really got whapped right in the nose. It made her yelp.
Hey, talk about going up the creeks, but was it about 2 years ago? Ian, yourself, and I, we went over to Scorpion, and then we spent the
did,
night, and we hiked
yeah.
up another mile or so to the junction.
Yeah. So Robert, Eden, and I had a different experience than just from the bridge up to the film site. We hiked from the film site up to the confluence of Scorpion, set up camp, and then the next day we hiked up to the North Fork of Bluff Creek, and it's a different hike than it is from the bridge up to the film site.
Yes.
It's a little more switchbacky, kind of meandering through the canyons.
Yeah, I noticed a lot more terraces.
I think we had more terraces to
Yeah.
walk upon, less walking in the creek. On the way back, I made a big point of trying to hit all the terraces and kind of speed walk back, and I didn't get wet that many times.
Well, Ian and I were pulling up the rear, and we were soaked.
Yeah, that was just kind of getting a feel, because we didn't hike that far up the creek. But I think that the BC 19, doing that whole stretch, that's a great thing to do. But I think what we talked about, hiking up to Scorpion, setting up camp, and then doing some Scorpion expeditions, exploring, do some recons up that water drainage, because I don't think anybody's been up that water
That's
drainage.
a lot. That's why we were doing it, because we see what kind of
and
wildlife's up there.
when we put our drone up and look up the Scorpion Creek water drainage, that drainage never got logged. It was all old growth up that whole canyon.
So it means it's pretty stable still.
Yeah, right.
And shaded.
And shaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had some really big trees up that canyon, and it seemed to go almost all the way to the top, to the headwaters.
And also the gravel bar there.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, you could probably get 20 tents in that gravel bar, couldn't you?
wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the one minor spot that we had found on our one journey up from Bluff Creek there, it was barely fit 3 people. I found a flat rock that was out over the creek that I threw my pad on for the night. It was yeah, no beaches there.
Yeah.
It's all just super nasty slides.
And white noise everywhere.
Oh yeah, there's no, it's got that creek all night.
I'm definitely intrigued with the trip, because I love the experience of what's around the next corner. And I'm sure you guys are at that point where, what's around the next corner? Is it going to get easier? Is it going to get easier?
And it didn't.
And you guys probably would have extended out a little bit further if you didn't have to deal with the dog. And the dog was in his kind of shape. You guys might have pushed yourself a little bit more.
Which I think was probably a godsend that,
Yeah.
we
You guys were a team of 5.
We were.
And there's some interesting history there out of Bigfoot Creek, farther up there. I guess mile marker 9-ish. Going from the mouth, going up on your left-hand side,
Yeah.
Bigfoot Creek. Yeah, there's some Bigfoot stories out of there.
Really?
Yeah, traditional stories.
9 miles up?
I'm guessing about 9 without my map in front of me.
Yeah, it would have been
It's right.
8 or 9, because that was
Yeah.
supposed to be
Would
the
that be
second
in-
night.
Would that drainage be in the same that Fish Lake would drain over into? Does it drain over into Bigfoot?
I'd have to look at the
Yeah,
map.
I'd have to look at that too.
Because I do know that I've been there just upstream from Bigfoot Creek because I used to be able to drive down there.
Mm.
You could drive down to Bigfoot Creek.
Oh yeah, just upstream from it.
Oh, really?
Just upstream from it. There's 2 ways to get down there. Old
See, that
road cuts.
that would have been good knowledge there to
Yeah.
have, because we probably could hike down that road still if it's been burned off.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's cleared off, but like the other day, you guys were going to go check cameras in the area, and you guys had to actually do a bunch of clearing just to get anywhere.
Yeah, we didn't check cameras. We went to Deer Lake again. That was our little expedition. There was a group of guys at Laos, and one of them wanted to go to Deer Lick. So I told them how we went, and so we went and got on that road. And it was a pretty bad winter, and nobody's really gone out that road. They went out a little ways and cleared it, and then we spent probably an hour and a half clearing more road, and then finally stopped and did a reconnaissance and realized we'd be there until the next day trying to clear a road. So we went ahead and made the decision to just hike in the rest of the way. So we hiked in probably 2 miles before we found our drop, and thank goodness we
Still have a flag.
still have some flags.
Yeah.
We found some flags on the ground that had broken off on some of the branches, but those flags kept us going on the same ridge. And we set up a camera down there and hiked back out. But that's a steep hike out. And
I remember that hike. I've
Yeah.
done it a couple times.
we've done it
I think
a
so have you.
yeah, yeah. That was my 3rd or 4th time. Did we set a camera the first time we went?
We did. We had
And then
2
we had to go
possible
back and get it.
locations. Had to go
Yeah.
back and get them.
Yeah, we had to go back and get them.
And you flew your drone out of that, right above it, and it looks like a shape of a foot, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
Deer Lake. And it's one of these Bluff Creek drainage lakes. I think it's natural. It looks natural. And what happens is every now and then a tree will fall into it. And these trees that fall into these little lakes are like pathways that walk out into the lake. And something that I haven't seen before, the water lilies were growing like a foot to a foot and a half above the water.
Do you think that it like a dam broke through and the water level dropped?
Yeah, I think it must have something, because I've never seen the water lilies grow above the water like that. It was kind of trippy.
Because a twin, they don't. You know?
Yeah, they all grow
Yeah.
right on the surface.
And was the whole thing choked with them?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, it was choked.
No open water then.
Not really. Anyway, so I placed a camera in a position I'd never placed before. I placed it on this well-worn cedar tree. I think it's a cedar that has fallen into the lake. I placed the camera looking back so you can see whatever walks out onto that log.
I think the last time I went out there was with Mike Morass.
I think it was. That's
Yeah.
when we picked up the cameras.
Yep.
Yep.
Bring
Yeah, I
back
was
memories.
pretty proud of Mike for making that trip.
Yeah, he didn't complain once.
Well, he hiked it down. I think going down was harder this time
Although
because it
leaves.
was the madrone leaves
Oh.
were just choked out, and actually it was tough on the dogs. The dogs went with us, and so that whole ridge section that we had to hike
Yeah.
is the Chicopin forest.
Oh, it's got the seat cases of those have spikes sticking
Yes,
out of it.
and I had several times, dozens of times, I had to stop and pull the needles out of Chloe and Daisy's
Ouch.
feet. It was like walking on a carpet of them sometimes.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for them, and they've worked their way around. They figured it out, and tried to avoid them, but still, it was a tough it was a tough hike for the dogs through all the Chinkapin.
I mean, it's not as bad as cholla cactus, but
Jumping
But
cholla.
Chinkapin is a chestnut.
I don't. I'd have to look up see which family it
that's what the
belongs
guy
to.
was with me said. That's what they. It's like a chestnut.
I'd have to. Got to go look it up again.
Yeah.
All that
But,
information.
I
fades
think
away.
the Chinkapin was utilized by the natives, and they planted a lot of those, or they propagated quite a few of those forests up there. And we think this is all natural, but actually the natives have influenced a lot of what grows out here.
They might have used fire to open it up, keep it open, and
Uh-huh.
then plant the oak trees and maintain it. So keep those firs from invading. You just have to use a little bit of fire, keep them down, or hand cut them.
Well, where we're at right now is kind of sections of it are like a moonscape, with these dead old cedar trees.
Yeah.
It just takes a long time at these higher altitudes for things to regrow.
Yeah, we had a fire come through here a while back.
Quite a while.
Burned it up pretty good. Although this part here looks a lot better than it does farther up the ridge and
Yeah,
heading
back
towards
up,
the end.
yeah.
Yeah, back that way. It's like going through a desert landscape in some places.
Ghost forest.
Yeah, like a bomb went off,
Yeah.
wiped out everything and left the skeleton trees in place.
Well, it's a gorgeous night, and the Six Rivers National Forest.
Yeah, well, thanks you guys. We're sitting here getting zoned out by the fire and everything, but yeah, that was quite an adventure. Better you than me, Kipp. Thank you for taking one for the team along with other three members. We got. Let's go off the numbers one more time.
The folks that were on the hike.
Folks that were on the hike.
It was Tate Hieronymus and Jonathan Easley, Ron Mann, and myself.
And then there, Vaughn, Dawn.
And Bandit. Sorry.
And then the support team again.
It was Lee and Terry and Damon and Stevie.
And Stevie, yeah.
Mhm.
So, awesome. I'm looking forward to it because we're actually going to interview the rest of the team. We'll see if they say the same thing you did. But yeah, everybody sees things differently. But
They do through a different lens. Yeah.
yeah, it is a different perspective. You're a little bit older. I should say, wisdom's a great thing to have.
Yeah.
And a man's got those limitations.
Different life experiences for sure.
Yeah, and different way of approaching it. And I'm glad you guys called it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me too.
Really glad because when I was missing, I'm going. That's too bad. I can't participate in this. I get too much going on in my life, and then I'm watching all. It's like okay, they started. Okay, and you're paying attention, waiting for the messages to come in and see how progress is coming along, and then you're like, oh no, wow, what happened? It's like, oh, turned around.
It's like, wow, they're going to go to the moon. Okay, wow, did they blast off? Yeah, but they didn't clear the tower. Okay, well, whatever.
Well, here's my last question for you before you call it. How many hours of walking was it until you stopped and realized that we're going to have to reevaluate?
I think we started hiking about 10, and I think by about 3:30 or 4, we finally we'd already decided, but we hiked back down to the one area that we thought we might be able to camp for the night. So I think we finally turned it off about 5.
So you're saying it's about 5 to 6 hours to cover a mile.
7. Yeah, it's 5
Yeah.
5 or 6. Yeah.
That is courage for you guys. You guys are tougher than you thought. Of course, if I had to do that today, 30 minutes in, okay, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. Thank you, Rowdy.
Yep.
Thank you, Kipp.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we'll call it on this one, and I'm looking forward to the interviews with the other guys of the team, and because I know they got a different perspective because they had a whole different idea, like what you wanted out of the hike was not what they wanted out of the hike, and that's the unique thing about it is, are you satisfied with? Did you get what you wanted to know about yourself out of this hike?
I think I probably faced my limitations a little more realistically. Although, again, it's like, it's just, that particular section, and I don't know how much further because it just seemed like going from bad to worse to even more worse.
If possible, yeah.
If possible. So, if it were, I mean, in my mind, I had envisioned, okay, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for the first little stretch. But then it'll be like hiking from, the 12 and 13 bridge up to the film site. It'll take a little time, but, there's plenty of places to walk on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
There's places to get out. That was what I had envisioned in my mind, and it just is not. That was not the reality.
No. Well, if you stayed out there for a few more days, it would have been.
Potentially, yeah, yeah. But I think that just,
Yeah.
we got the shit beat out of us so quickly. It was like it's pretty rough.
Nature has a way of letting us know.
Absolutely.
And when we think we got it, time to reevaluate. All right. Any last questions there, Rowdy, you want to throw here, Kipp? Or?
No, I don't have any questions for Kipp, but any expedition we do, I definitely want Kipp on it.
Yes.
He's a valuable team member, and I
This canyon wall carried my tune. The only one to hear my song. All the kind